Welcome back to the Cosmic Compass podcast with Helena Woods. I am your heart-led human that is sharing the journey as I travel to my astrocartography lines, sharing insight, wisdom, and uplifted and grounded guidance with you so that you can connect with your heart, live in your authentic truth, and go to places that help you create a magical life. And in this episode, I want to talk about the 5 things that are holding you back from living your dream life. These are 5 things I consistently see in people who are not living a life of authenticity and alignment and connection with their heart, who are unhappy with what they're doing in their life, with how their life turned out. And I want to share with you 5 actionable ways in which you can come back home to yourself, come back home to your heart, and live a life that is your dream life, because you can create your dream life and you can create a life of authentic truth and love for living. And I know that at times it can feel like, who am I to have a dream life? Who am I to create this beautiful, magical life when the world is going through such devastation and tragedy, and when people are suffering and the world feels like it's in chaos? And it is, and that's reality, and that's what we can see, that, and that will be continuing to play out in the years to come. With astrology, we can see that we're entering hard times ahead as a world, as a collective. But it is your job, it is your duty, your responsibility to yourself to live a life of love, to live a life that you're proud of, to live a life that is so connected with your authenticity. And I know that authenticity is such a buzzword these days. Like, we hear the word authentic or authenticity and it's like, pshaw, yeah, right, authenticity. What is authentic in this internet, social media, the world we live in, where it just feels like everything is performative and everything is exactly planned out and scripted, and everyone's trying to sell something, and everyone's trying to live a life that looks cool or looks beautiful or looks aesthetic, right? That's such a big thing. And I am here to say that authenticity is often uncomfortable. And authenticity is truth. And when you live in authenticity with who you are, even the parts of you that you're afraid to recognize or accept or love about yourself, when you connect with that authenticity, that deeper part of you that is true and whole and loving and peaceful, when you connect with that, you will find that you will start to create a dream life for yourself. You will start to do things, to act in certain ways, to say things, to show up in your life in certain ways that are authentic to your heart, and thus will create your dream life over time. Now, when I say dream life, this does not mean that it's going to happen overnight, or that it's going to happen tomorrow, or that everything is going to be perfect all the time. That's not what living a dream life is about. In fact, a dream life is it's an interesting life. It's one that has nuance and variety and change, and there's a lot of highs and lows and peaks and valleys, and that's what makes a dream life. And your dream life will not look like anyone else's dream life. Your dream life will look different because you are different, and you are unique, and you are unique in the way in which your heart calls to you. Your talents, your gifts, how you think, how you process life, your natal chart, your natal promise. You are unlike anyone else in the world. That's a fact. And this isn't to say that you're a special snowflake, but you are unlike anyone else in the world. You are different from anyone else. And when you own what makes you different, and you own what makes you authentic in your dream life, and how that's going to not look like everyone else's dream life, that's when you've really come home to yourself. And other people may test you or question you or get triggered by your dream life or your authenticity, but that is because you are different. And not everyone's the same. And we know this, but I think we often get triggered by people who are living such radically authentic lives, because it triggers us and makes us beg the question of, am I living a life that is authentic to me? Am I living a life that is actually actually true to what I want, to my dream life? Or am I just doing what everyone else is doing or expects from me, or what looks shiny and nice and happy and abundant on the outside, but is actually quite empty on the inside? We don't know how other people's dream lives actually are. We don't know. The only thing we can pay attention to is living a life that is authentic to us, and going to the beat of our own drum and dancing to the tune that we choose and creating our dream life that is unique and individual. And so with that said, let's get into the 5 things that are holding you back from living your dream life. And this is something I've gathered from observation, from experience, from my own trials and errors, and making lots of mistakes myself, but also what I see in other people, with my clients, with people I see every day. I see a lot of the same things, and I'm going to talk about what's holding you back. But before we get into today's episode, first off, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being here today. This is a new podcast. This is a new venture. This is a new thing I'm starting, and it's exciting, but it's also a little scary. And I am out of my comfort zone right now as I'm recording this. It feels absolutely crazy to do this right now, actually. But I'm doing it, and I just want to thank you for being here, for tuning in, for listening, for pressing play. And do me a favor before we get into the episode. Wherever you get your podcasts, leave a review, leave a 5-star rating, share with me that screenshot, and you'll be entered to win a free astrocartography reading with me, as well as get access to a live training that we'll be having on Zoom, so I can teach you everything I know about my best secrets for understanding your best places in the world using astrocartography. So with all that said, thank you again, and let's get started with today's episode. The first thing that is holding you back from living your dream life, not anyone else's dream life, is not being curious, not asking enough questions, not leaning into your curiosities, your interests, those little things that make you perk up, that make you straighten your back, that make you turn your attention, whether it's a book, a class, a person, a conversation you're overhearing. And also those little pings, those little intuitive gut feelings that are begging you to explore that thing more, whether it's a subject, a topic, something to research, a book to pick up. Not listening to your curiosities, not honoring your callings. This is truly one of the biggest things that is holding people back from living their dream life. It's not honoring their callings and not following their curiosities and not leaning into what is imploring them to go further, to explore more of, to go deeper into a subject. So often I'll have clients or people that I'm coaching or working with, and they'll say, I've been wanting to start that podcast for years, or I've been wanting to get more into this. I've been wanting to take this class for so long, but I never have. Or I've been wanting to read this book, but I just haven't gotten around to it. We put off the things that would actually bring us so much joy and fulfillment and personal expansion because we're afraid. I think a lot of us are afraid of success. A lot of us are afraid of confronting what could be actually really life-changing for us. That the fear of success is a big one. A lot of us are afraid of success. A lot of us are afraid of confronting what is deep down within us and exposing that truth that is within us and not honoring that because we're afraid of what could happen if we do. Maybe we piss off some people along the way. Maybe we get really successful from that random little hobby, that little YouTube channel that was just for us, and it was just supposed to be some small little fun thing to find some like-minded people and connect with community, and then it just blew up and it took a life of its own, and suddenly everyone's talking about it and commenting on it and leaving mean, nasty reviews of the thing or whatever, right? Whatever it is, whatever you're afraid of, whether it's the fear of missing time with your kids because you're going deep into a new hobby or passion project, or if it means that you're going to have to take some extra time away from watching Netflix with your honey every night, or if you're afraid that it might grow so big that it'll take away from your personal life, or, you know, more money, more taxes, whatever your fear is. What is the fear that's stopping you from following those curiosities, from following that little download, those little pings that come out of nowhere that's like, you should read that book. You should pick up that class. You should learn that thing. You should ask that person more questions on what it's like to move to Japan. You know, let's say you overhear someone talking about, like, how do you get a dual passport? And, like, your gut is like, oh my gosh, join the conversation, ask them questions, lean in. But then your mind comes in and is like, oh, that's not going to happen. Come on, let's be real. Probably not going to get dual citizenship. It's so hard to move to another country. It's so hard to learn astrology. It's so hard to do XYZ. Whatever that is, it is time to put that voice on hold. It is time to lean into your curiosities and to honor and trust your gut. That is the first thing that is holding you back from living your dream life. And maybe you're already doing this. Maybe you're already living this, and this is just for someone else out there listening. Number 2, not going for it, not taking action. We can think and manifest and believe all we want. We really can. We can just dream and hope and tap all day, EFT tap all day on what we want. We can pull those tarot cards and learn astrology and read those books. But if we're not actually implementing what we're learning, what we're seeing in our mind's eye, what we're writing in our journals, if we're not actually implementing and taking big action steps toward that thing, that is holding you back from living your dream life. Because the thing about living a dream life is it does require action. It does. And this doesn't have to be big action. You know, in my own life, when I'm excited by something, I go for it really quickly. Like I jump all in. I go all in. Like I just leap. I really do. I leap, and I hope that a net will appear at the bottom, but we'll see what happens. I've never had to worry. Everything's been fine. Like my whole life, I've never had to worry about something catching me at the bottom. I've made a lot of mistakes. I've messed up a lot in my life. I've had a lot of hard things happen to me in my life. A lot of things I've never talked about online. But I never let my failures, the things that did not go well, my mistakes, I never, ever let that stop me from taking action again. Because life is about experimentation, especially for 3/5s out there in human design. You guys know we're the great life experimenters. We're here to just see what works and have fun and follow our excitements. But I believe it's for all of us. All of us are like that. Life is a game. Life is an experiment. What are you choosing to make of it? If you decide to write in your journal ideas for that YouTube channel or that book, or maybe you've been writing away at your book, but you never reach out to a publisher, or you never reach out to literary agents, what have you got to lose? That is the biggest thing that has shaped my worldview, is the question of what have you got to lose? You have nothing to lose except time. And if you're gonna be spending this time on planet Earth, you might as well do the thing that you love. Because time is precious and time is ticking. And I don't want to say that as in a scarcity mindset, because it's not. But also your time matters. And if you're just numbing through life and using Netflix and YouTube to escape your action, your dreams, your dream life, if you're using these things to escape reality, to escape what it means to be human, that's not living. We are here on planet Earth to take action. We are human beings that are here to also do some stuff. And this is a harsh truth, but it's something that needs to be said, because action is the biggest thing that is holding you back from your dream life. And what can you do? You start by writing a list. You start by writing a list of 2 things every day that you're going to do. Well, number 1, I'm going to open up that YouTube channel. I'm just going to create an account. That'll take me 5 to 10 minutes. Number 2, I'm going to write down ideas of things I want to talk about. 2 things, 2 small things. And these action steps, they do not have to be big. They do not have to be these huge, grand action steps. They don't. I am a huge believer in the snail. The Snail, one of my favorite books I've ever read, is The Sound of a Wild Snail Eating. Snails, they move so slowly, but they are truly some of the most resilient creatures on this planet. They just keep going. Someone picks them up, someone picks their shell up, puts them in a new place. They find their way back. They follow the snail's trail, that little slime that they left behind. They'll find it, and they'll communicate with other snails and find where the other snails went. They'll get back on their trail. It is astounding how far a snail moves in a single day. I don't know what the statistic is, but it's something big. I read the book a long time ago. It's a great book. I highly recommend it. It's one small step every day. It's 2 small steps every day. You just keep going. You just keep going, and you just take small action steps, and it doesn't have to be big, and it doesn't have to be grand, and it doesn't have to be this huge thing. You just get up, get some movement in, and take action. And I will say, if you're feeling stuck and lethargic, because I understand this. I understand this really well, actually, living where I'm living. Put on some music and dance. It's something that really helps me in my own life. Is anytime I feel lethargic or stuck and I can't get out of bed, I will just put on a record, a vinyl, or I'll put in some music. I bought this speaker to help me, and I put on the speaker and I connect it to Bluetooth, and I just put on a playlist that I've got on my Spotify, and I just press play, and that's it. Really simple, but it gets me moving. I just start swaying my hips, and I start swaying my arms, and I just start going back and forth, and eventually I'm having an all-out dance party. I've worked up a sweat. I feel energized. I feel alert. I feel awake. I feel ready to go for the day, and I feel more upbeat and more positive for the day. As someone who literally understands lethargy very well, living on my Saturn line as Saturn's transiting on my ascendant, I understand, and I'm telling you, putting on music and swaying, doing some yoga stretches, or actually like physically dancing, that will really help you get into action. So number 2 is not going for it and not taking any action. That's one of the biggest things that will hold you back in life. Number 3, listening to outside opinion. If you are honoring what other people want from you rather than what your heart wants you to do, you will always feel stuck in life. Because the thing about other people is they want what's best for you, especially if it's loved ones, family, friends that really love you, actually know and that have good hearts and really love you. They will tell you what you should do with your life. They will tell you what are the best things to do for your kid, business, for your life. They'll tell you what to do. People are happy to give their own opinions. But it's a reflection of them. Anything that someone else tells you to do with your life is a reflection of them. And if someone tells you ever that you shouldn't lead from your heart, you shouldn't take that leap of faith, you shouldn't take that risk and just do something more safe, they are telling you what is a reflection of their inner fears, what they are actually afraid of in their own life. They're afraid of not having security. They're afraid of not having a stable, financially secure, safe, risk-averse life. And a lot of people want that, and a lot of people value that, and to each their own. But I will tell you from personal experience that there is nothing more magical than going for your dreams, whatever they look like to you. And again, your dream life may desire security. That may be a value that is really important to you, is security, stability, nourishment, comfort. Those are values that maybe are a reflection of your dream life. But honor your values first before asking for input from other people. Listening to outside opinion will sway you from what is your North Star, your true compass. And when you go back to your body and yourself and your gut and you listen to that heart and that wisdom that's quietly whispering to you, it often is a whisper. Sometimes it's a nudge, sometimes it's a feeling. But when you go deep within that and you follow that little weird inkling, instead of this beautiful paved out map that someone else gives you, and you just trust yourself first, you will find that your life unfolds absolutely beautifully, magically. Because when you honor yourself instead of someone else's views, opinions, or thoughts on what you should do, you will create a magical life for yourself that is very authentic and true to what you deeply value. And it's going to be hard at first because I think we've been trained since we were children to listen to what our teachers say, our parents say, everyone, our friends, when we get to be teenagers, it's all about what our friends want from us, our friends, what do they think of us? You know, we've never learned in school that we should be listening to ourselves. We never were taught this in school as kids, how to listen to your intuition, how to trust yourself, how to honor your inner voice, how to have self-trust. That is, I think, one of the saddest things about early education is like we're not taught how to trust that little inner voice within us. Oh, I don't feel comfortable walking down that alleyway. But it makes sense to go because that's the easiest way to get there. So I'm just going to walk there. I'm going to go through it anyway, right? You know, those soft whispers, they can change your life. They can keep you away from danger. They can keep you away from challenging situations. They can expand you into an authentic life that is your dream life. They can bring opportunities that you never would have guessed would have ever happened to you if you didn't try, if you didn't follow that inner voice. Honor your inner voice and not what other people tell you to do, because that, when you've learned how to do that, when you've learned how to honor yourself, oh my goodness, your life will change for the better. I guarantee you. And that voice is peaceful, loving, present, all-knowing, and it always loves you. Trust yourself and not what other people want from you. Number 4, leading from fear rather than the heart. So this kind of goes with number 3. But if you lead from fear, if you lead from your mind, your ego, I think Seth Godin calls this the lizard brain. But if you follow that voice within you, that's not peaceful, not present, not loving, not all-knowing, and not that sense of calm, if you listen to that voice, it'll tell you not to go for what you want. It'll tell you to do what's safe, to do what is expected, to do what feels comfortable, like you've done it before. My husband and I, we've been together almost 10 years now, and one of the biggest stories I have with us, it's profound. You know, we had our first date, and I really liked him. Like, we had really easy chemistry. We got along really well. Just the chemistry was flowing. Like, he and I, we have great communication. It's just like back and forth banter. We joke around. We tease each other. There's never an awkward pause. And even if there is a pause, it's comfortable. It's nice, you know? We had our first date, and there was no passionate makeout session at all. There was no big kiss. There was no sparkle of passion and fireworks. And after dating so much in New York City, I was used to that. I was used to like that beautiful kiss in the rain, you know, like that explosion of fireworks when you're about to leave a date and he locks eyes with you and it's just like, boom, fireworks right away, right? I've had that so often happen to me during my time in New York City. And it was wonderful. It was fun. But none of those guys ended up being long-term potential. In fact, a lot of them were actual jerks in the end, or just not, like many of them were jerks. I'm trying to give an excuse and say like, oh, it just wasn't a right match. No, like a lot of them were jerks. But also a lot of them were just not long-term potential. They were not looking for someone to have a long-term future with. They didn't want stability. They didn't want a future. And I learned this as I dated them for more and more times. But Alex was different. Alex, he was comfortable. He felt safe. I felt like I knew him immediately when I met him. Like our first conversations, it felt like we know each other. And I remember as we said goodbye and there was no kiss, there was nothing. It was just very friendly. It was very nice, but it wasn't anything passionate. And we said goodbye in the subway, and he texts me like 30 minutes later, says he wants to do it again. It was so great. And I started typing out, no thanks. It was a nice time, but I don't feel a connection with you, a romantic connection with you. I did that because it felt comfortable, because I had done that before to guys where it felt similarly. Like there were so many guys that I also dated. I dated a lot in New York City. I was on a Venus Chiron pairing, for any of you guys who know astrology. And I dated a lot of guys that were like that felt easy, it felt comfortable, it felt chill. And I just didn't feel that romantic connection, so I just immediately told them I wasn't interested when they wanted to plan another date. But with Alex, I started doing that like I did for so many other guys. I started typing that same message because it just didn't feel passionate. And then I started backspacing because I had this weird inkling in the pit of my stomach that I should not send that text message, that I should give it one more try. I felt that. I heard that in my inner voice, in my gut. I felt this knowingness of give him one more chance. Give him one more date. See what it could be like. So I backspaced. If I had listened to what was comfortable, if I had done what I'd always done, if I had listened to fear of not having, I think one of my biggest fears in life is wasting my time. Like, I don't like wasting my time with people. I don't like wasting my time on, things that aren't going to make me happy, or I don't see some sort of potential of fulfillment in. Like, time is my greatest resource. I don't care about money. I don't care about stuff. I care about time. Like, time is everything to me. And what's comfortable for me is I don't like to spend any time on something if I don't either see a positive potential of growth, of learning, of involvement, of connection, of love, or if it's just, not something that will bring me happiness, right? And I think because there was so many times that I felt that comfort and also that feeling of I'm going to waste my time with this person because I don't feel a romantic, passionate connection. I felt that with Alex. I thought that that would be the same thing, like with all these other guys. But that knowingness within me stopped me and made me hit backspace. And then we planned another date. And on that second date, there was a spark. There was a spark. I locked eyes with him and it was like, oh, Nilly, what have I gotten myself into? He leaned against a wall and we locked eyes at each other. And it was like, oh man, I'm in hard. And I share this because, and it actually took many dates until we had our first kiss. He's a gentleman and he's a Virgo, and I don't use the Virgo-ness as an excuse, but he moves slowly. And if I had done what was comfortable, and if I had listened to fear of wasting my time and fear of wasting my energy on guys that do not give me that firework, if I had done what I did to Alex, if I had done what I did to all those other guys, if I had done that to Alex, I would not have the most incredibly, the best thing in my life. The best thing of my whole life is him and our marriage. Nothing beats it. Nothing comes close to our marriage. And if I had sent that text, if I had lived in fear of wasting my time and done what's comfortable instead of listening and honoring my inner voice, I would not be where I am right now. And I can tell you that who you marry, who you choose to be in a relationship, it impacts every aspect of your life. My life would not be my dream life if I didn't have him next to me, if I didn't have our marriage. My life would not be the same. And it's because I honored my inner voice instead of the fear of wasting my time. Do not allow fear to override those inner gut knowings, those peaceful, present, intuitive hits that you get. Honor and listen to your heart and not fear. And number 5, the 5th thing that you're doing that's holding you back from living your dream life is not surrounding yourself with expanders. What are expanders? This is a term that Lacy Phillips has coined using her work To Be Magnetic. But expanders are basically this. Expanders are people who inspire you, who uplift you, and who show you that what you want is possible for your own life. They don't have to be exactly living your dream life or living exactly what you want, but they have fragments of it. The people in my life, I have carefully curated that my friends are people, they are all expanders for me. And I have let go of so many friends in my life who do not match what I am looking for in terms of expansion. Who you surround yourself with, it really matters. Who you hang out with impacts every area of your life. You are the top 5 people that you hang out with. Those people really influence who you are. And when you choose to be around people who are negative, who don't have a vision for their life, who don't see life in a magical way, in a growth mindset way, who bring you down, who are always complaining, who are always pessimistic about the world, you will find that over time you start to become more and more like them and you start to see life the way in which they're seeing life. It's just a reality. It's just a fact. You are who you hang with. Because everything that you consume impacts you. The people you listen to, the people you follow, the movies you watch, the books you read, the perspectives you read about in the news, your friends, your partner, your family, it all contributes to your worldview and your perspective of life, your habits. I have let go of so many friends in my life. So many. People that were just not a match anymore. There was no fight. There was no, terrible thing that happened or an event. It was just, we're not a match. We don't see life at all in a similar way. And I'm a big believer in hanging out with people that do see life in different ways, different political views, different religious preferences, different music tastes, anything, right? I'm all about understanding different perspectives. My Mercury's in Gemini. I love being able to understand multiple perspectives. However, there's a difference between spending time with people who have different worldviews or different perspectives versus people who literally energetically live life differently. Like they just operate at a different frequency of life. And to each their own, there's no shame. I'm not at all saying that if you hang out with someone who is a lower vibe or lower frequency, like you're superior. I'm not at all saying that, because I think that's a very arrogant way to see connecting with people, is to think you're better than them or that you're operating at a higher frequency than them. But it is true that we all are seeing life through our own filters. And when you start to hang out and talk to people who just frequently complain and they're just not growth oriented at all, or they don't have any expanding, positive, hopeful view of anything, and they're just negative, you got to cut those people out, or at least limit your conversations with them. And I've had to do this with a lot of people in my life because I've grown and I've become a better version of me with every passing year. My life just gets better and better all the time. It's gone up my entire life. My life has gone up. It's been an upward trajectory in every way. Habits, nutrition, exercise, mindset, spiritual philosophy, connection with relationships, understanding people, psychology. I have grown and grown and grown. And a lot of my friends have stayed the same and they have not changed. And I have let them go, a lot of them. And that's okay. And I have learned to be okay with changing and growing and outgrowing what no longer supports me and is not bringing me life and bringing me vitality and bringing me joy and happiness and laughter and personal fulfillment. I have let that go. I've let them go. And I've let the old me go. And when you create your dream life, you're going to notice that you're going to change a lot too. And you're going to expand into new eras of you, new versions of you that's just going to get better and better and better. And your life will get better and better and better. But you have to listen to yourself. And you have to allow yourself to change when you feel yourself changing. You have to not be afraid to let go of the old. You've got to stop being afraid of letting people down, of listening to fear. This is how you create your dream life. Allow yourself to evolve. Honor your intuition. Honor your gut feelings. Listen to your body. And allow yourself to go for it, to take action and to follow those curiosities, those little interests that are whispering to you all the time. Take action on them. Get curious on them. Data collect. What have you got to lose? You have nothing to lose in this life. So with that said, I hope you enjoyed this podcast episode and that it uplifted you, inspired you, and expanded you to connect with your heart and to bring you back home to yourself. Don't forget to